this on video.
I need you to introduce who you are to the world.
Hey, this is Tommy.
And I'm Patty.
And we're from Alderman Farms.
Well, hi folks, Smudge here. Get to announce the guests for October the 9th. It would be Alderman Farms. Let's take a very quick look at them. Alderman Farms in Brookhaven, Mississippi started in 2000, a small homestead farm where Tommy and Patty Alderman envision provide their family with healthy food raised with love and care, free from chemicals, pesticides, hormones, and antibiotics. Over time, their vision grew to include providing not just for their own family, but for other families too. Currently, Alderman Farms produces pasteurized eggs, pastured poultry, American brie, pastured pork, American guinea hogs, and will soon add Cuco goats and increased vegetable production. Their YouTube channel was born March 16, 2012. As of the creation of this video, almost 13,000 subscribers have viewed 650 videos over 3 million times. Their videos include how-to instruction, reviews of products, recipes, gardening tips, livestock tips, on and on. If you only have one homesteading channel to look at, this very well may be it. When Trauma Strikes, a paper written or adopted by Tommy Alderman from a tragedy that occurred in December of 2016. Patty just shines with her baking skills. Shown set up here at the local farmers market. Just some of the products that she baked probably the night before. Bread, cinnamon rolls, just it goes on and on and on. Simply incredible. There are some videos out there that show her doing all this. Tommy has also been a speaker at the Appalachian Conference that was held this past May, and will be a speaker next week at the Homesteaders of American Conference in Warrenton, Virginia. So if you have an opportunity, you really need to check these folks out. They also have a presence on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, a website, iTunes, and Stitcher. So Monday night, the stream starts at 8:57. The show starts at 9 o'clock. We'll see you then.
It's me again, Monday night, 9 p.m. Even though I know one lady that really would like us to go on earlier, it's not going to happen. So we have a great show tonight. We met them in May at the Appalachia Homestead. We sat across from them at the infamous dinner at Crackle Barrel. You're going to enjoy this next hour. It's going to fly by. There's no doubt in my mind. So get your questions ready. Make sure you put your questions in all caps. If we don't see it, one of our moderators will catch it and beat me over the head. I mean, Coco has to do that sometimes. And thumbs up. If you don't, if not for us, give it for our guests. And if you don't, we have Grizz, and even though he doesn't have a wrench, the guy has a hammer. So you got to watch him. I mean, when you name your cat, God, my mind just went blank.
Stir fry.
Stir fry. When you name your cat Stir Fry, you got to watch out for him. So, about what time did you want to pull the curtain back and bring our guests?
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and pull the curtain back and see what's going on here then. So here they are, folks.
Hey everybody.
You're
Howdy, y'all.
on the air. So, can you hear me okay, Tommy?
I can at the moment, yes.
Okay. Well, we'll go with the moment then. So, yeah, we had the pleasure of meeting you folks down in Crossville. That was a wonderful trip back in May.
Oh, it was. We had a great time.
Yeah, the weather was great. The people were great. Yeah. It was nice.
Yeah, it was supposed to be horrible weather, but it held off for the most part.
That's right. I've heard of that now.
And it's supposed to be nice weather this weekend. I've already checked on that, so us northerners can go down south
You better
again
breathe,
with shorts and t-shirts on again.
We were hoping it was going to be a lot colder than the forecast is making it out.
So, I understand you guys are going to be at the Homesteaders of America conference this coming weekend, so I guess we'll be seeing you there again as well.
Yep, looking forward to it. Can hardly wait. Can hardly believe that it's here.
Yeah.
And you're going to be a speaker there.
I am. That's what they tell me. Rumor has it.
Rumor has it, huh? So why don't you share with the folks here, just, don't give them all the details, but a little bit about what you're going to be speaking about and some things that have occurred here over the past year and what brought you about to this conference circuit.
Okay. Well, for those that don't know anything about us, I spent the better part of 20 years in law enforcement, and actually most of it in Louisiana, but I did spend several years in law enforcement here in Mississippi before I moved into the private sector. And of course, we were doing the homesteading thing all along that, to a lesser degree, I suppose. And so in December last year, December the 9th, at 11:20 a.m., my 140-pound Anatolian shepherd decided to kill me. And
Try to kill you.
Yeah, no, he decided to kill me.
Yeah.
And
it didn't work.
I could. You don't have
Thank
time,
God.
so I won't go into all the details about the attack because that's not really the focus of the presentation at the Homesteaders of America conference. The focus of the presentation is what took place after the attack. But I will say that my survival as an individual and our survival as a family, first and foremost, is 100% due to the grace and mercy of Christ. There were 100 little things, weird things, that had to happen that day just right in a certain order in order for me to survive the attack itself, and they all did. Some of which have never happened before. I needed to do some things that day that I've never done in my life, and for some reason I did, and it was providence. Part of the manifestation of his mercy in that situation has to do with my law enforcement background. My tactical skills, thinking and maneuvering kept me alive long enough for my 19-year-old son to come out and save my life by shooting the dog while it was on top of me 3 times, including shooting a hole through my pants leg that we didn't realize until the day after or something. But in the aftermath, while I was in law enforcement in Louisiana, I was a charter member of the Louisiana State Critical Incident Debriefing Team. So I was part of a team that would be dispatched, a team of law enforcement officers that would be dispatched anytime an officer anywhere in the state was involved in some type of high stress event or critical incident. And we would go there and talk them through the processing to help them to process what they had been through, because there are things that happen in your brain when you are confronted with a high stress event. There are things that happen in your body. There are things that happen in your emotions and in your spirit and whatnot. And so the presentation Saturday at the Homesteaders of America conference is not exhaustive. I'm not going to cover critical incident stress debriefing, defusing, on and on and on and on. But what I'm going to do is the first stage that's necessary in helping people survive a traumatic incident. That is to educate, to talk a little bit about what you can expect from your body, your mind, your spirit, and emotions when something horrific happens to you. Because knowing beforehand that things are going to happen can make the difference in life or death, to be I don't mean to be melodramatic, but it can be the difference between life and death. And so that's what we're going to do. I'll talk about examples from my training that were taught to me, and then also give a couple of examples from our experience of how just knowing those things made it bearable and shortened the time frame before we felt like we were healed of the trauma. That's enough, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good explanation.
I don't want to give away too much because you need to be there. And also, if you're not going to be there, we're going to video it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to turn it into a full-fledged video production. So sometime, it's going to take a while, but sometime after the conference, there'll be a video on our channel of the presentation with the slides and everything, and it'll be a full-fledged. You won't miss much by not having been there, but we won't get to hug your neck.
That's right.
Well, I know it's a fascinating story. We of course heard a little bit of it in Crossville. We didn't go deep into it or anything, but it's simply fascinating. And if I remember right, Patty had just gotten a new vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
And she drives better than Mario Andretti.
Who says vans don't corner?
And that van corners, I tell you. And she can drive one-handed, too.
I don't know who Mario Andretti is or what corner it is, but I guess...
It means you can drive it on two wheels.
Oh.
No, not really. That's not what it means.
doing corners on two wheels.
The first thing she had to do after it was all over, of course, we always believe... We live our lives in such a way that we believe that people who help you and do a job well deserve our thanks. And so we made it a point to go see the paramedics, to go talk to the flight nurse, to go talk to the dispatcher that Patty talked to.
And one reason that we thought about even talking to the dispatcher, because Tommy started out law enforcement in the radio room. And so he dispatched calls and everything. And so many times it's a thankless job. Even the paramedics is a thankless job sometimes but I mean, sometimes you see them at least. The radio operators, you don't see them, you know.
Not only is it often thankless, but they get less an opportunity to have closure.
Yeah.
It meant so much to Vicki. Her name is Vicki.
Mm-hmm.
It meant so much to her, not just that we thanked her, but that she got to see me and meet us and put a face to the name, put a face to the woman who was screaming at her on the phone saying, "Lady, lady."
And then it dawned on me when I was talking to the paramedics, I said, "Oh, I hope it was a lady." And they said it was a lady. So, you know, so.
Funny.
Well, and I know that incident, with you falling back on your previous training and so on and so forth, you had access to documents and of course training that by and large the majority of people do not have, and it caused you to adapt some of that, to actually get some of this when trauma strikes. You adapted this from the law enforcement community. I don't know what changes you made, obviously, but probably a few or something, and of course you got their permission, but that's something that's available off of their website.
Yes.
And there's also been, I believe, a link put up in the chat here. Yeah. So it's about 16,
thank you for that.
16, 17 pages or something, if I remember right.
Something like that. I don't remember, but it's not condensed writing. It's like a concept per page, you know. So it's easy to read. There's once it gets into in other words, there's a page on like cognitive reactions that you may expect. Well, it's just a page full of bullets and with one or two words after the bullet, you know. So it's easy to digest. And the link is to the download link is to sign up for our newsletter. And if anybody has already done it and got the free PDF download, you can testify to what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
You're not going to get spammed from us. I've yet to send an email to that list. I don't know. Maybe the first email will be a link to the video, you know, following the conference. But, you know, so we don't share your information. But I do want you to get on the list. But this is a very specific list having to do with when trauma strikes. And so I'm still, and I've been doing it for months, collecting my thoughts on how to every now and then send a little something out, to encourage people to think about these things, because I just can't stress enough that if you think about them ahead of time, it will help you. If you prepare yourself ahead of time, it doesn't mean it's not going to be scary. It doesn't mean you may not, be upset, but it will help you in the long run. So, go to that link. Give me your email address, the little automated process will send you, once your email is confirmed, it'll send you a link to download the free PDF. But look, if you know somebody who needs it, give it to them. I don't expect you to, somebody who's just come through a trauma. In fact, we posted it on our Facebook page after the Las Vegas thing, the shooting, and said, look, I actually posted how did I do it? I put it in Dropbox. I don't want your email. If you know people, who were involved in the Vegas thing, give it to them. This is about helping people avoid long-term damage from a traumatic event, because it doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to happen. You can recover.
Okay, Tommy, we had a question in the chat here from Finger Lakes Prepper, just basically asking what caused the dog to attack. And I don't know if you want to.
Well, I'm going to say this, that I see Christy Betts in here was saying that she thinks some dogs are neurological defects, just don't fire right in their brains. She said her friend had a dog like that and they had to put him down. More or less, that's what the vet has told us, because the commenter, I saw the question.
Well, sort of.
That, they're usually loyal dogs, and he was a loyal dog.
He was a very loyal dog. So there's two parts to that. I posted all the details as best as I could. And one thing you'll learn in my class maybe is that your memory is not very trustworthy in the immediate aftermath of a traumatic incident. So some of the things I wrote initially were lacking. And Patty and Corey, one of the first things we did was start talking to each other. And we began filling in blanks for each other and correcting misperceptions and all that over time. So I've edited that piece, and it's still up on. I don't know how you can find. Well, it's on our blog, and it's probably the last blog. I think we write a blog about once every 2 years, and it's on our blog, the most updated version. And I'm actually writing a more detailed version that eventually will become some type of an ebook or something like that. But in those pieces, I readily admit that I made mistakes. We made mistakes. That dog. Listen, that giant dog loved me. I know that sounds nuts, and I loved that dog. And I have hundreds of unbelievably wonderful memories with that dog, and one really bad one. But there were a handful of times, for instance, where he flashed aggression, and we discounted it because he would immediately or shortly thereafter apologize. You know how a dog can apologize? And so we discounted it. We actually discounted some aggression in him as a 9-week-old puppy.
Yeah.
What we should have done was turn around and drive back all the way 4 hours the other side of Starkville, Mississippi, and bring him back to the breeder and say, we can't have this dog, but we didn't. So
we were naive. We didn't know.
We were naive. And I don't want to take up too much time, but this is important to say. The confirmation bias is a dangerous thing. We are known to do copious amounts of research before we bring any new breed of animal or any new species of animal on our property. We want to know everything we can about them.
Yeah, how to raise them, and everything. And about their temperaments and
so
educated.
I did lots of research on Anatolian Shepherd dogs, but what I didn't know going in is that there is almost an infinite amount of differing opinions about Anatolian Shepherd dogs and livestock guardian dogs in general. And so I had preconceived, and understand, I didn't realize I had preconceived notions, but I had preconceived notions of what I thought about them and what I wanted in one. And when I found research or information that fed that confirmation bias, that told me what I wanted to hear, I didn't look any further, and I should have. I should have been an expert, not an expert, but I should have been educated on dog body language, and I wasn't. I encourage you to educate yourself on a dog body language. For example, I know you're going to think, some of you are going to say, how naive. Yep, I take that. I assumed that anytime a dog was wagging his tail, he meant he was happy to see me. Well, I learned that day and afterwards from some experts I connected with who earned my trust that there are ways that a dog can wag its tail that means pretty much, I'm about to kill you. And it's too much for me to try to explain. You need to study that, though. And so that morning, I made mistakes that caused him to attack me that day. I got too close in his space. I didn't read the signals, blah, blah, blah. We don't have time to go into all of that. I made mistakes that I will even say, it was my fault the attack happened when it did. However, what Patty was alluding to moments ago, this dog didn't do like a normal dog would do, and attack me, get me back, even hurt me, and then go back to where he was to stand his ground. This dog was relentless. He was determined to take my place. He was determined to kill me. And it's important that you understand, too, we love our animals and our dogs. We didn't abuse this dog. We loved him. I got pictures of this big, giant dog up in my lap, he wanted to be in my lap.
Yeah.
So we showered them with affection. We don't discipline our animals harshly
and or anything like
all that kind of stuff.
We got lots of crazy comments after all this. But, Tommy took him with a grain of salt. He found some really, really good experts that were so good to him and explained things, and didn't treat us like we were idiots, Yeah. He realized that, we were naive, we did make mistakes, and we own up to the mistakes that we made with the dog, but, we love our animals.
And I owned up to my mistakes immediately because I knew I'm a trainer at heart. When I was in law enforcement, part of what I did was train others. So I'm a trainer at heart. And I knew that people need to know about my mistakes so they wouldn't make them. And the best validation I had was the last time I checked, you know how on Facebook you can get messages from people that aren't friends, and it goes into, they used to call it the other folder, but now it's called message requests. And you got to pay attention to realize you've had them. You get them because you don't get notifications. Well, once I found I had a couple, I started paying attention. And the last time I counted, I had 76 messages from people I've never met from all over the world. Yeah. And out of those 76, I think it was somewhere north of 50, 56, 57 of them said something to the effect of, your story has saved my life, or your story has saved my sister or my brother, fill in the blank, because they're seeing some of the same things you saw and discounted, and now they won't.
Well, it's absolutely a fascinating story. And I have to admire the way that you have taken what happened to you and shared it and made it be a learning experience for others. That's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Glory to Christ. I mean, anything good in me is because of him. I promise.
There was another question it was asked, I think, by B Lady. Do you think that an event like that is a minor PTSD event?
Well, listen. Let me say this first of all. Let me give you. This is my disclaimer. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in critical incident stress debriefing. Yes, I'm trained. It's been a long time. In fact, the director of the Mississippi State Network he heard about my story. He appreciates what I'm doing, and he's offered to certify me in Mississippi. Hadn't happened yet. I'm not an expert in PTSD, and so don't quote me on this. But I think there's merit to what I'm about to say. It's my understanding or my belief that PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, is a result of a series of critical incident stress events that were not processed properly.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, and let me further caveat that by saying that a series of critical incident stress events can be one. Okay? I'm not trying to say that somebody can't come out with full-blown PTSD from one event. Sure they can. The two most important things that folks in the class will hear, and it's important for everybody listening and watching tonight to understand these two things. One is, if you're involved in a traumatic event, any reaction, including no reaction, is a normal reaction. The second one, let me repeat that one. Any reaction, including no reaction, is a normal reaction. What do I mean by normal reaction? I mean no reaction. Our son Corey, our 19-year-old son Corey, I watched him like a hawk. I questioned him. I didn't grill him, but I questioned him lovingly in the days and even weeks following this traumatic event, where my son actually, he told us that when I told him to shoot, he obeyed instantly. But in the moment between me saying shoot and him firing that first shot, he thought to himself, I'm about to shoot my own father in the leg, but that's not going to kill him. This dog will. And he fired, and he did what he had to do. And so I questioned him and counseled him and talked to him. He never lost a wink of sleep. He never had a flashback. He never had invasive thoughts. He never had a bit of disturbance. He had no reaction.
Just.
And you know what?
Went on with life.
That's normal. Any reaction, including no reaction, is a normal reaction. That doesn't mean Corey may not have a reaction the next traumatic event he finds himself in. It may be different. And the second thing is this. You are a normal person having a normal reaction to an abnormal event. It's the event that's abnormal, not you. You are a normal person having a normal reaction to an abnormal event. And I want to clarify something that came up in one of our live streams weeks and weeks ago. There was some talk about suicidal thoughts. Well, is that normal? And we really didn't have a chance to flesh that out. I will say this. Suicidal thoughts should be dealt with, period. Somebody should be talked to, period. But you have to understand, what we're talking about is in the immediate aftermath. What we're trying to do, what the knowledge presented in this material and in this class and elsewhere, is to help you process the information so you don't get there, okay? I'm not going to say that a person might not have suicidal thoughts immediately following an event. They might. And if you do, you need to talk to somebody. But typically, what we're trying to do is short-circuit that, to not allow it to get to that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So, absolutely fascinating. Well, I'll tell you what, we've already gone through almost a half an hour here. So,
it's amazing how time flies.
Oh, it most certainly is. So I'll tell you what I want to do here is let's get the first trivia question out of the way. And for those of you in the chat that are maybe new or have not been here before or don't remember, although a lot of people do, every week with our guests, we try to have 2 trivia questions. So we'll get the first one out of the way here now. Let me cut over to that, and we'll get started. Okay, folks. There you go. We do have some rules with this, but as you saw in the little video there, you actually win cold hard cash, couple bucks, a $2 bill. Which is odd in itself. And we have people that have received those and they framed them, and somebody's doing for dowry or something.
Yeah, somebody's paying back the dowry that was used on her when she got married.
So anyway, the rules are you can only win once every 4 weeks. You must be the first person to answer the question correctly in the chat window as received and recorded on the stream here, as you see it on the screen. That's not at your local computer, it's on the screen here. And of course, you must send us an email so we can send you your money. So send us an email with your address within 48 hours to twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com. Question number 1, folks. Tommy and Patty have 4 children. Name them.
As they look at each other and go, we do?
We ain't telling.
Come on, Daniel. We know what you're. There it is. No, that's Daniel's answer. That's
pancakes, of course.
Yeah, pancakes. We were waiting for that one. Thank you, Christine. You have a wonderful evening. Thank you for stopping by. Somebody's dryer is done.
Here they are.
Is that what it was?
Yep. Green Gables.
Close, but no cigar.
Close, very close.
No, all sorts. It's not them.
Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Hey, I ain't that old.
Oh.
Okay, everybody get that other tab open. Go into their channel. Start reading up.
I don't know if it's on there.
I don't know.
Very, very quiet tonight.
Well, here's your hint. Green Gables has 3 of the 4. We'll give him 3 of the 4.
So spelling doesn't count, I guess.
Well,
if spelling counts, Green Gables got 1 out of 4.
I understand that.
But well, you can't count spelling on names because there's too many different ways to spell.
I know.
That's true. That's true. C names. There you go, Christy.
Yep, Christy, that's right. C names.
Yeah, they're all C names. And I'll give you a hint. None of them are named Chauncey.
Cameron, Chelsea, Corey, Canary Ann.
That sounds like a song.
I wish we'd have thought of that. I might have to start calling her Canary Ann.
Carly Ann.
Yeah.
Green Gables.
Yep.
Yeah, Green Gables. Okay, Green Gables. You heard it. You heard it from Tommy. He has declared you the winner. So
yeah. KB911 almost got it.
Canary Ann. Wait till I tell Carly Ann her. I'm gonna call her Canary Ann next time I talk to her.
That's what she should have been named. She loves animals, that's for sure.
Okay, Green Gables, please send us an email to twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com. If your email does not contain your screen name here, please include that so we know who you are and you're not just after us for a couple bucks. So, okay, let's move on to a little bit different subject. There's a ton of stuff we could talk about, but I do want to say this, Tommy. I've been a fan of your channel since long before Two Family Homestead existed.
Oh, thanks.
Wow.
We've been around a while. March 2012.
We've been lurkers for a long time.
I actually found you when I was putting up a fence, and I used some of your fencing videos as a resource, as a reference, if you would, to do some fencing in the backyard. This was before Sherry and I had anything to do with YouTube other than just be casual observers and watchers. So, yes, you've been around a long time. You've put out some excellent videos. And I'm sure
thanks. Those fencing videos remain to this day our most watched videos. I don't mean overall, but also month to month. Every month, they still get the most views out of all of our videos. It's
fast. Again, this is, I think, your teaching coming out behind it is just, they're well explained. They're to the point, and they're just very good. So anyway,
Thank you.
Let's talk about your property just for a moment. I understand you're on 116 acres,
That's correct.
Which is a chunk of land.
Jeez.
And I also understand that this is actually a piece of what was originally 640 acres, I think you said.
Yep, a whole section.
Okay, it was a whole section. But what's really interesting is nobody ever bought it. Is that
Nobody
correct?
ever bought it.
Tell us the story.
Yeah, B lady, listen to this.
Tell us the story.
Yeah, it's been in the family now, somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 years plus, probably over 150 years. And my great-great-grandfather, Enoch, staked out a whole section of land, and it was given to him in a land grant. And he's buried right here on the property. So is his son, William Thomas, and his son, John Wesley, who was my grandfather. And my dad is buried in Louisiana. My mom just couldn't consider him, bringing him up here to bury him. And now she's buried beside him in Louisiana. And I told her when she died, I was digging them both up and bringing them up here. But I don't know if I'll ever do that. But yeah, and so we're extremely blessed. And it's funny how. And one time I asked Dad, how did it come down to 116 from 640? Who sold off some property? And he looked at me kind of funny. He said, nobody ever sold anything. I said, you're kin to those people. It's just so far back up the tree, But interestingly, between my first cousins and I, what do we figure, about 400 roughly?
Yeah, somewhere around. It's a little less than 400, I think.
380-ish or something of that original 640 is between my first cousins and I, and we basically have the run of it mostly. And my dad had 2 sisters and a brother. Daddy was Daddy the baby? Or Dossie was the baby? Aunt Donis was the baby. Anyway, Daddy may have been the baby. But anyway, he had 2 sisters and a brother, and they each, when it came time for my grandfather to distribute the land, each of his sisters and his brother got 80 acres, and Daddy got 116. Well, it sounds like Daddy must have been the favorite. Well, actually, the opposite is true. Daddy was kind of the
black sheep.
He was kind of the black sheep. My dad died a graceful Southern gentleman, and but he was kind of a hellion, I think, when he was young. And,
No, he never admitted that.
Never admitted it, but I've got it on pretty good authority that he was a spitfire. But anyway, it wasn't that he was the favorite. The deal was his siblings all got 80 acres because each of them had a house on it. And one of those 80 wasn't part of the original alderman section. In fact, it's kind of funny. My great-grandfather married a laird, and their section was just south of our section. And then my grandfather married a Wachter lady, and their section was just south of that one. And so this won't mean anything to your viewers, but our family loves to say, at one point in time, the Aldermans had their fingers in everything from Norman Trail to Gum Grove Road. And that's a long way, 3 sections of land.
Yeah.
But each of his brother got 80 acres in a house. Each of his sisters got 80 acres in a house. Daddy got 116 acres because it didn't have a house, and it was covered with worthless timber. Ha. Cha-ching. Because back in those days, trees were something that got in the way.
Yeah, yeah. Dig them out.
Yeah, back in those days, people didn't grow trees for money. They cut them down so they could grow cotton or have hay fields or pasture or something. So that's just a funny little story that we love to tell.
Wow. Amazing.
Now, how we ended up here. Do you want to talk about how we got here?
Sure.
Yes, absolutely.
That's Patty's story because it's 100% due to her that we got here.
Well, that's back due to my daddy. I guess we have the land because of my daddy and Tommy's daddy because, his dream was to always live in the country. And I guess he passed it on to me even though he died when I was little. And so, Tommy and I lived in a subdivision for our first 2 houses. The first one was a rent house. The second one we bought. And then the third one, it was still in the city, but we had 2.5 acres. And I just loved it. That's when we started with chickens and with goats and everything.
She was ruined.
Yeah, and I mean, and it drives Tommy crazy because I'm happy with where I'm at, but I'm always looking forward, and so I would always be looking at property and stuff. And when I found out that I didn't even know we were married and everything, had no idea that they had this property in Mississippi, and I love to go camping, and so we ended up, we camped at Clear Springs, which is not far from us, and that's when Tommy said,
not far from here.
Yeah, not far from here now. And he said, if you like this place, you would love our property. And I'm like, what property? And so that's when we came here and we started camping here, and then the rest is history.
Yep.
So, but we love it.
Well,
My only regret is we didn't do it sooner.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful property. I mean, you've shared various pictures, and certainly not the whole 116 acres, but you've shared a lot of it, and it's just beautiful property. You do well keeping it up.
We're blessed.
So, is there anything else you want to share? Some of these little tidbits.
Oh, let's see. Well, I don't think we've ever talked about this on the show, but back in the woods here, about how far from where we sit, the home place? 100 yards, 200 yards?
300 or 400 yards.
Oh, is it that far?
Football fields, right?
Well, yeah, but that's going up and down. As the crow flies, it probably ain't but 200 yards. But anyway, whatever. This way, from where we're sitting, is where my dad was born, out in the woods. And there was an old house. And supposedly it was a big, beautiful house. It's my understanding there are a couple of pictures that exist somewhere, but none of my generation of cousins have ever seen them. I guess they've been lost. But it was a pine house built before they used nails, or I say before they used nails. They didn't use it. I guess they couldn't afford nails, and they were put together with pegs.
Yeah.
2-story house, and supposed to be real nice.
With a dog trot.
With a dog trot, yeah. And my dad was born there, but they moved out when he was 2 years old, and they moved down to that 80 acres and a house I told you that was not part of the original Alderman land. And one of a cousin or somebody, I'm forgetting the details now, but my grandpa made a deal with a guy he would get the house and the whole 116 acres for like a bale of cotton a year for the next whatever it was, 10 years or whatever. And I don't remember the details, but it was a bale of cotton a year.
Yeah.
And so there's that now. My grandfather, turns out he was the justice of the peace, and he was a tough old cuss. And he had one of the only cars in Lincoln County at that time. And somebody come running up. His name was John Wesley. A lot of people call him Wesley. And another little cousin or something, came running up the driveway one day. Daddy remembers this. They said, Uncle Wesley, they're about to sell your place at the auction. And it turns out the guy had not been paying. That was the other part of the deal. He would pay the property taxes, and he hadn't, for a number of years or something. And he also hadn't been keeping up his end of the bargain on the bale of cotton. And so apparently, Grandpa jumped in or Papaw, whatever they called him, jumped in. I never met him. He was long deceased before I came along. Jumped in his car and rode to town and paid the taxes and got the property back. So we came that close, not to having any of it. And then the other little piece is when Daddy was 10 years old, the house burned down. They caught fire. And if you can imagine heart pine, they said the black smoke could be seen for miles, and it just burned up and nothing flat. Mm-hmm. So there was no structure there left, but we do find, there was some bricks from the walkway and the chimney.
I've got some sandstone, some big sandstone. We don't know where it came from, but I have it up here at the flower bed that must have been from the chimney.
Yeah.
Or from around the bottom.
They probably brought it up from around the creek. There's 2 creeks on the property. And then the final thing I'll say is about that is one of the most interesting features, and we need to go back there and clean out around it, is there's a cedar bush that was not too far from the house. It was far enough that the fire didn't get it, but it was close enough that the heat killed it. Mm-hmm. And it's still standing there. Because, cedar doesn't rot. I mean, it's dead, but it's still there. And it's a big bush, and when we'd come up here camping around Christmas time, we would go out and decorate it, and, but anyway, it's still there.
Absolutely fascinating. And you know what else was very unique? I have, scrolling across the back of the screen here, different thumbnails from some of your videos.
I saw some of that.
And just as you started talking about the fire and stuff, one of the thumbnails was from, I think, your wood burner with the fire, and it just scrolled across right at that time. So it just unbelievable. I don't know how you do that, Tommy.
Twilight Zone.
So, Patty, let's look at you for a minute. Queen of the kitchen.
God, Miss Baker woman. Good Lord, just to have some of that energy, and not even have a real baking kitchen.
No, I have a convection oven. That's about the only, thing that would be different from a regular kitchen.
Well, you can rest assured I'm going to be first in line to get some of that dehydrated sourdough.
I'm working on it. So.
Especially since we're going to be there early because we're helping.
So.
Yeah, I'll have some.
So you're you do this every week or year round, or I don't know. How does this? What is your schedule on baking all these goods that you take to market?
Well, there's some of my sourdough starter right there. Tommy's got it.
That's a batch she dehydrated yesterday.
I'm not sure.
And that's a large bag with a bunch of smaller bags in it.
Yeah.
And then she's also bringing her fabulous dip mixes.
Yeah.
Powdered dip mixes.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, our market, it's not a year-round market. We normally just have our market June, July, and August. We started a little early this year because we had such an early spring, and the farmers had vegetables. So, I baked the last 2 weeks of May, all of June, all of July, and then it was over. But now we've just started back our fall market, which this is the first time we're having. It's going to be a 2 to 3 month fall market. So this is the first time that we're doing it like this. We've tried in the past and it didn't go over real good. We didn't really have enough farmers, and but I think it's going to go a little bit better this year. We had a good first Friday, last Friday, and so I'm looking forward to it. So of course we're going to miss this Friday, but so it's nice with the cooler weather and everything. So I guess that's 4 to 5 months out of the year.
Christy Betts is asking, do you like the convection oven better?
I do, because like in a regular oven, you could stagger 4 loaves of bread in there, but with the convection oven, because it's got the fan in the back that is circulating the heat, you can actually put bread on the top shelf and the bottom. So I actually bake 8 loaves of bread at a time in the convection oven.
And it's not overly large.
No, it's the same size.
It's a normal size oven.
Yeah.
But she's able to, double the amount of bread you can because of the convection.
Yeah. So we have a wider 48. We have a wide. Well, no, because we have the side oven, so it's a regular size oven. But ours is convection also.
Mm-hmm.
So, you market? What else do you do besides bake? I know you do a lot of gardening, but do you do a lot of canning and?
I do a fair amount of canning. I want to do more and more canning. I really haven't gotten into canning meat, and that's the next thing that I would like to start doing is canning some of our meat. Not that I want to can everything, but I would like to can more of the meat. I would like to can a little bit more of our vegetables than I have done. I always can my snap beans. I like them best, canned. I do. We don't buy jelly or anything like that. I can that. I do figs. I do freeze my corn. I do can squash, though I didn't can any this year. I was kind of stupid and I sold most of my squash. So at the market, I was the first one with squash at the market, so I was able to sell it pretty good.
She's the
so.
squash queen too.
Yeah, but and I sold a lot of cucumbers at the market. I make pickles. So I want to get more into fermenting and stuff like that and preserving food that way. But, I'm limited with time right now and able to do that. But in the future, I really would like to get into more fermenting foods and stuff like that.
Well, I know Tommy's job has taken him away quite a bit. And so
yes, it has.
You're left.
We're not complaining.
Well,
That's right.
I understand. I mean,
Blessed to have it.
yes, but I also know that left Patty with a lot of, I'm going to use the term extra garden work and extra household work if you're not there to help. I mean, we know how that goes. So, and now that I'm retired, I have absolutely no time. So
Yeah, you wonder how you had time to work, don't you?
Oh, exactly. So.
Yeah, somebody commented, where was it? Was it on our live stream or somebody said, maybe it was on Facebook. Yeah, I think it was Tara from Living on a Dime was having a conversation with somebody about, well, aren't all your kids gone? When all your kids are gone, you got all the time you need, right? And I said, well, if that's the case, we didn't get the memo.
Yeah, we didn't get that memo.
And all our kids aren't quite gone. We still got Corey, kind of, But,
And Corey helped
that
me
was
out a
on
whole
Facebook,
lot while
wasn't it?
Tommy was gone.
Yeah, that was on Facebook, Tommy, because I wrote you a memo.
yeah, that's right. You did. You said, here's the memo. That's right. I forgot about that.
Coco Noel says it's time for love story. She wants to know, how did you two meet?
Oh.
I was working at I arrested her.
You did not.
No.
We did meet at the police station.
We did meet at the police station. I was working
So
at
if
the
it gets real
Baker
quiet,
Police
if it
Department.
gets real quiet and you don't see anybody posting, you know they're on Facebook spreading rumors.
Yeah. Oh, there's Cameron.
There's Cameron.
No, I didn't take that.
Yeah.
No. He's
Hey,
answering
Cameron,
the phone.
we're on a live stream. Can I call you back? That's all right. It's not ours. We're a guest on somebody else's.
Okay. All right. Call me back later.
All right. Tell everybody bye. Go ahead.
But anyway, Tommy was a reserve at the time at the Baker
Was
Police, at the Baker Police Department, and my friend Lara.
Which means I wasn't full time. I was
Yeah.
part time.
And my friend Lara worked there. We were still in high school and seniors in high school, and she kept telling me about this good-looking reserve that came in every Thursday. They had meetings on Thursdays, and so Tommy would come up there and hang out waiting for the meeting. And so I just happened to go by on a Thursday where I could see this good-looking reserve, and so that's how we actually met. So, where are they going? Anyway, so, that's how Tommy and I met, and my cousin actually worked at the police station, and Tommy said after I left, he went around asking people, didn't want to ask my friend, I guess, asking who was that long-legged, blonde-headed girl. So that's how we met, and I guess we had a little chit-chat. He found out I worked at the golf course, and
Suddenly I became more interested in golf.
yeah, I started golfing a lot and coming by the golf course. And he, I never noticed a guy jogging by my house, but then I started having this guy jog by my house and who would stop in the
About the
morning.
only time I jogged in my life,
So
except basic training.
anyway, so that's how we met, and it just
Yeah, but how did we end up as a couple?
as a couple. You ought not make me tell that part. What are you talking about?
So we were in Louisiana, right? And at the time, neither of us were believers, and we celebrated Mardi Gras like everybody else. Big deal. I mean, it was a big deal. And so in our little town there, they had a pretty big Mardi Gras ball celebration. My sister made the most ornate costume you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, amazing.
Unbelievable. I'm not just saying that because she's my sister, but
And she actually, we had just met, I guess. And Tommy's sister actually made my costume, but I didn't know she was his sister. See, they're 16 years apart.
yeah.
So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so anyway, she had a date to the carnival ball, And to make a long story short, after the carnival ball, there's the after party. It was a dance, you know, and people would dance till like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I would die if I had to dance till 4 o'clock in the morning now. But anyway, so to make a long story short, she had a date, and I took her from her. I did it politely, but I just danced with her, and
yeah, me and him danced all night. So
and the guy just left.
Did he?
Yeah.
Poor thing.
Oh yeah, he was crying.
No, he wasn't.
I don't know.
I don't remember that far. Anyway, so yeah.
B Lady wants to know, Patty, did you study carpentry?
No, I wish I would have. Wish I would have taken.
She thinks she did.
No.
That's actually a compliment. There's nothing she doesn't think she can do, you know. And she'll try it. And I admire that about her as opposed to me.
I wish I would have studied machine shop is what I wish I'd have studied.
Yeah.
I wish I could work on engines. Is whatever
Machine
that
shop
means.
or woodworking?
No, engines, where you can fix engines.
Small engine repair.
That's what I wish I knew how to do. I'm going to learn one day. I still have my kids' books from high school, and I'm going to study them one day, and I'm going to learn how to fix engines. I'm sorry.
There you go.
You know, I just
girl.
want to learn how to do that.
She ain't afraid to tackle nothing.
That's nothing wrong with that. Old Alabama Gardener said, Tommy, you just mentioned basic training. Where did you take basic training at?
That was law enforcement basic training, OAG, in Louisiana. Law enforcement basic training, not military.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I'm not mistaken, you made a short series of videos with Deep South Homestead on couples and marriage and so forth. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yep, it is.
Homestead Heart. There's a playlist on our channel and also on theirs, but I think both playlists contain each other's videos, so they can go to either one of our channels and search for Homestead Heart, and you can find that series of how much was it? Was it 4 videos?
I think so.
3 or 4 videos that we did, some together, some separately, on the subject of marriage on the homestead, or just you know, our different. It was interesting because Patty and I have been together 30 years this past July. Man, I'm old. Notice I didn't say we're old. I said I'm old.
I know, and I'm agreeing with you.
We've been together 30 years, and Danny and Wanda just celebrated their 4th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
And so they thought it was their idea, I think, to do the collaboration. They thought it would be interesting for us to talk as a couple who've been together for 30 years, and they could talk from the perspective of a couple that's only been together 4 years.
Yeah, and what was unique with Danny and Wanda, you know, getting together when they were older in life, going about the relationship so much differently than, and of course being believers, so much differently than Tom and I went about our relationship as unbelievers and as young, you know, about what's important, what you talk about, you know. So it was just really neat seeing the comparison. Stuff Tommy and I had to work through after we were married. They settled up front, you know. They knew to already talk about it, you know.
Yeah. So go watch that.
Really
go to our
neat.
channel and watch that series, and find out how close she and I came to divorcing.
Yes.
And,
Well, I love that write-up you put on Facebook, Tommy, and during your
thank
anniversary.
you.
That was, and the wedding dress and Patty, that was beautiful. That was like, whoa. Yep, very nice.
She was one hot, still is one hot mama, and she's my hunk of burning love.
There you go.
There you
After
go.
30 years,
Yep.
can't fight that. That was awesome. That was awesome. And 70 Farms, I just saw it.
Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
How long have you all been in Mississippi is what she's asking.
17 years. That's easy. We can always remember because we moved here in 2000.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get this second trivia question out of the way here, because the time is flying. So here we go.
$2 trivia time. I love it.
Okay, folks. Simple rules again. You can only win once every 4 weeks. You must be the first person to answer the question correctly in the chat window as received and recorded on the stream here. And that's as you see it on the screen. You must send us an email with your address, your mailing address, within 48 hours, and send that email to twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com. And Tommy, if I goof on these names, you are gonna have to help me.
I'll bail you out.
He was practicing.
I'll bail you out.
All right.
I even helped you with the phonics.
I know, but
Wait, time out. Bandana Grandma just celebrated their 49th anniversary October 5th.
Isn't that something?
Man.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Bandana Grandma. Thank you and your husband for your testimony. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Okay, folks. Question number 2.
Tommy stalked her. Coco says.
Chelsea is married to Guillermo. Is that?
Try again. I said I'd help you, but I wouldn't say how long I let you flail.
Guillermo,
yeah.
Good.
Or in Colombia, Guillermo. But
Okay.
Guillermo works in most Hispanic countries.
Okay. Well, the question is, what is his nickname?
And we have said this on our live stream, but I'll be curious to see if anybody caught that. What does, and can I clarify the question, Daryl? Is that fair?
Absolutely.
When he says nickname, what it really is, it's what does everybody call him? It's what does he go by? It is a nickname, but it's not like an occasional nickname. It's what most people call him.
B-Lady's going to Colombia in a few months. Cool.
Beautiful country. It's so
Chelsea,
geographically diverse in such a small area.
No bandanas, not your animal. Aren't those 90s for children?
You're not going to guess it. You'd have to know if you don't.
Yeah.
If you don't, you'll have to know it.
And look, everybody
not a silly-
calls him this nickname except our family. When he met Chelsea, he introduced himself as Guillermo. When I met him, he introduced himself as Guillermo. Now, Tommy will remember and call him his nickname, and Corey will too because of on the tennis court and everything. But, our family calls him by his name.
And it's not a funny name. It's not, like Dingbat or something like that.
His parents even call him the nickname because his dad is Guillermo also. So
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's going to get this. That's a hard one.
It's a hard one unless you have to know it. You're not going to guess.
Well, we have not had one yet that people haven't come up with. This may be a first. I'm not seeing anything.
Well, they can't say that we haven't said it because we have said it.
Yeah, he's actually been on there. You've introduced him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't blame us.
I'm not even seeing any guesses come through. Any legitimate
I
guesses.
saw some, but they gave up right quick.
Yeah.
Gil.
No.
Mo.
No, Gil is a reasonable guy. Mo. Those are reasonable guesses. It doesn't have anything to do with the spelling or the name Guillermo.
No, it don't even start with a G.
It actually starts with, can I, Daryl?
Sure.
It starts with a C.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Coco, that's still a G, not a C.
All right.
Daryl, if it makes you feel any better, just to give him another couple of seconds to try. No, it doesn't start with a G, Coco Noel. It starts with a C.
Yeah.
Make you feel any better, Daryl? One of the funniest videos that we have, and I gotta find it somewhere, is in their wedding ceremony. The minister, he pronounced his name how many times? Five different ways.
Different ways.
None of them were correct. Guillermo. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was all we could do to keep from busting a gut.
That was funny. It was funny.
But the guy pronounced it as if he was pronouncing it correctly every time.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't stumble on any of them, but there were 5 different ways and they were all wrong.
Okay, well, it's obvious that they have no clue, so let me modify this because we want to give somebody a $2 bill. Chelsea and I'll say it. I think Chicho. Chicho was
Chelsea
the
and Chicho.
Okay. Chelsea and Chicho's son's name is.
Oh,
Now, that ought to be easy.
yeah. All right, we're gonna say correct spelling here.
Yeah, it has to be the correct spelling, Daryl.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
That works. I'm surprised.
Oh,
There we go.
There it is.
Boom, bandana grandma.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Is bandana eligible? I don't remember.
I think so.
Okay.
And we can give hers on Saturday
Okay.
because
Right.
if there's anybody that I have to look for, it has to be bandana grandma, or I'm going to have an 8-year-old granddaughter knock me over the head. Because our 8-year-old granddaughter, a couple months ago, took a liking on when she was here for winter break, maybe.
Oh, I don't
She
know.
was here on a Monday night. We did our live stream. For some reason, she just took a liking to bandana grandma, and she wrote her a letter, and she bought her some bandanas, and one she painted in the squigglies and sent it to bandana, and she knew that we were going to be seeing her this weekend, so she spent all of yesterday morning making something for her that I have now. I have to put in our suitcase. So yeah, we will see here and
Well, I don't mind telling you, one of our primary purposes or one of the things we're looking most forward to at the Homesteaders of America conference is hugging necks, as we say here in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now who's at the top of my list.
Yep.
Bandana Grandma is at the top of my list of necks. I told her weeks ago, prepare thy neck. Because I'm finna hug your neck, little lady. And what's not to like about that lovable little lady?
Yep. Yep.
Well, I want to make everybody aware we've been on an hour. We do not have a time limit here, but we want to make everybody aware that we've been here an hour. It's totally up to our guests if they would like to go on a little bit longer, and up, of course, to the people in the room. So, Tommy and Patty, do you have a little bit longer? I know you got tons of stuff to do, just like we do.
I do. What about you?
Well, I really need to. I've got to go mix up sourdough. I wish we were at Mama's house. I could mix it up with y'all.
Yeah. Well, give me my earphone. And give me some sugar.
Well, I guess we have half of the aldermans.
Good night, everybody. I enjoyed it.
Patty, we will see you this weekend. Thank you so much for a wonderful evening here today.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it so much, and I can't wait for this weekend. Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are
We'll see you
too.
then.
Okay, take care.
I'll sit here until I fall asleep.
Okay, folks, you got Tommy now, so ask
They're
away.
gonna start. The viewers are gonna start dropping like flies now. Daryl, brace yourself.
I doubt it. I doubt it. Oh, bandana grandma's done.
See there? Patty leaves and bandana's gone. Bye, Grandma. We love you.
Iron Dog, does she know that? She never kisses you like that? Oh, Coco wants to know what the nickname was. She didn't hear it.
It's Chicho, Chicho, Chicho. And he's been called that by his family since he was a little tot. And like I said, mainly because his dad, he was named after his father. And here's an interesting trivia. It's not a trivia question for somebody to win, but this is an interesting thing. So Guillermo's dad is Guillermo Julio. That's his first and middle name. And Chicho's name is Guillermo Arturo. And Tomas's name is Guillermo Tomas.
Oh my gosh.
Well, those are, so Tomas was named after his paternal grandfather and me, his maternal grandfather. And he goes by, thankfully for me, he goes by Tomas, which is the Hispanic spelling and pronunciation of Thomas. And a lot of people may not know this, but Guillermo, which is, Daryl had it on the screen, or may still have it on the screen, Guillermo, is the Hispanic spelling for William. And so in English, Tomas's name is William Thomas. In Spanish, it's Guillermo Tomas. My great-grandfather was William Thomas Alderman. So I hope that made sense. I found it to be an interesting little thing. Chico does mean little boy, but it's not Chico. It's Chicho is what they call him. Chico can mean little boy, and Chica can mean little girl. But Guillermo's nickname is Chicho, Chicho.
Very interesting, and I know you absolutely adore your Tomas.
Yeah, don't get me started.
We know the feeling, obviously.
Yeah, we had a couple of them here all weekend. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, they left just not even an hour before we started here tonight.
Yeah,
so.
their dad.
I think I saw some of them back earlier when we were testing, right?
Yes. Yeah. Their dad is my youngest, and and him and his significant other rode down. He has a Harley, and they rode down to North Carolina this weekend.
Oh, okay.
So we had the girls, and together Sean and Cassie have a 16-month-old little boy, and her parents had him for the weekend.
Okay.
Because I
can tell you this: by the time we get back from Virginia, we will be missing that little boy something fierce. We'll be needing us some Tomas time.
Yeah,
big time.
I heard that when they're around like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyone have any questions? Feel free to put them in caps. Tommy's here.
Well, thank you, Rainbow Rose Connie. That's sweet of you. Thank you, Coco. He melts ours too. He is something else again, that boy. Hey, BC Truck, dogs are pretty cool too. You need to go see the video I put up on our channel and on our Facebook page of Blue, my dog, with his cover and concealment tactics. I think you'll get a kick out of that, BC Truck. Thank you, Christy. He is a pretty little thing, isn't he? He got his daddy's olive complexion. He's lighter than his father, but he got his daddy's olive complexion and that dark hair and those dark eyes, big old eyelashes.
Yeah, he does have the big eyelashes.
He does.
He's going to be a heartbreaker.
That probably came from our side of the family because Cameron had it seemed like his eyelashes were that long. I don't have particularly thick eyelashes, and I don't think Patty necessarily does, but boy, Cameron had some whoppers, and I think they get that from Patty's daddy. Cameron's always had a real thick, fast-growing head of hair, and that's the way her dad was. And but anyway, so.
Okay, Old Alabama Gardener.
Yeah, I see that. OAG, walking the fence line, just to check it. We had been having trouble with a few young goats getting their heads stuck in there. And but we also just checked the fence. Exercise, it's good exercise. I enjoy it. Blue likes it. Most of the time we ride it in the Polaris. And but we do walk it occasionally just for exercise and to check the fence, just to check the state of the fence.
I love the video you did just recently when you were in the Polaris going up to that one house where Blue.
That's what I was telling BC Truck about.
Other side. Oh gosh, that was hysterical.
Is that not funny? And he still does it.
And sure enough, man, as soon as you getting close, like you said, he went around to the back and on to the other side.
He's still doing it too. He does it every time.
Yeah, they can't see me over here. I'll hide behind this.
Crazy.
But, think about that for a minute though. Is that not? that strikes me as reasoning ability. You know, that strikes me as him making a calculation and, you know, making a calculated decision. You know, now I guess it's not too smart for him to keep doing it over and over, but it's amazing to me that he figures that out, that he's using the Polaris as cover and concealment, and he does it every time. It's hilarious.
Well, I know you've recently, I'm going to say it's almost like you're trying to have a fire sale on pigs. You're trying to get rid of them.
Boy, well, not all of them, but we just, you know, again, because of circumstances beyond our control, not all of which are bad, because of the nature of my full-time job sort of changed a few months ago. And it requires me, not all the time, but sometimes in several weeks in a row for me to be away. And with Patty taking care of her infirm mom, we just didn't have an opportunity to do the type of husbandry that having any kind of livestock requires. And so as a result, we ended up the funny thing happens when you leave male and female pigs together. They make more pigs. And so we, just seemed like we just turned around and, had 2 or 3 litters all at once and blah, blah, blah. So, so that was first part. Second part is we've come to realize that you can't make a living selling pork. Well, you can in the right circumstances, and some people are, but without going into great detail, I have to carry my pigs almost 3 hours north of here to a processor, the only processor in the state that can legally process my pork and package it for resale.
Wow.
And, so by the time you factor in the cost of fuel, blah, 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 it's too much. And if I didn't have a full-time job, maybe we could figure out a way to make it work. But with those two things together, we just made the decision, let's get this herd down to a more manageable size where it's mostly for us. The meat is mostly for us and maybe a few Christmas gifts or things like that, but not for retail. And so that's what we've been doing. We've been having, and I haven't seen him on here, but Good Game Bees, Stephen was supposed to be coming to pick up a couple, and he and I think I dropped the ball. I need to email him and apologize because he's about 3 hours north of me, and my schedule just went nuts and we never arranged it. But we hit him a lick this evening though, because a lady came, a friend of ours that we've known quite a while from just south of here, came and took quite a number of the smaller ones off our hands. So we're getting there.
Well, and didn't Big Bear come and get some?
He did. He came and, oh yeah, that was a huge blessing. And he got some of the larger ones.
He's taller than you, right, Tommy?
Yeah, he's taller than me. That's so funny. Yeah, for those of you who don't know what that's about, he tacoed me last night. You may not know what getting tacoed is about either, but he sent all of his people into my live stream saying, "Hey, did you know Big Bear's taller than you?"
I saw that.
And the point of that is, when he got out of his truck when they got here, I was almost looking up at him, and I said, "Man, I had no idea you were tall. I thought you were a short, dumpy little fellow." Because I've only ever seen him on their live streams, and he's sitting down like this at the table, and he's I don't know, 3 inches taller than me, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, and he ain't near as fat as I thought he was either. So
yeah, we met them at the after party after the conference was over in May.
Yeah, that we were supposed to go to and just never got there.
Yeah, you got caught up in all that stuff. Yeah,
yeah, we got the singing and
well, this Saturday they have the bonfire.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I hope we do some singing around the bonfire.
Yeah, well, Bandana is in charge of the marshmallows, and Daryl and I are in charge of getting the graham crackers and the chocolate. So
I don't know how
Nice.
that works.
yeah,
But-
and Dana from Sullivan Family Homestead made sure she got the sticks for
Yeah.
the marshmallows.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rainbow Rose Connie, she had to go. I think I see where two family answered. Sorry, she had some sourdough needing her attention. She's still trying to get more dehydrated so that she can have enough for anybody who wants to buy some at the conference next weekend.
So at the conference, you know some of the presenters. Is there anybody you're
Yes.
looking forward to meeting there?
Well, I mean, I would go listen to Joel Salatin speak if I could get there every time he does. We met Joel Salatin at the Redeeming the Dirt conference. I encourage any Christians in your audience who are interested in a Christian angle on agriculture to look up Redeeming the Dirt. I think it's redeemingthedirt.com. And Joel spoke there. He was a keynote speaker there in Gadsden, Alabama, last year, and it was really interesting. It was different for him. He said it was different for him because he speaks in front of a very eclectic group of people from different perspectives and whatever. But this was a Christian group, so he was able to let his hair hang out, as he said. And man, we had worship services and all, and he was just so gracious and so humble, so patient, acted like he had all the time in the world to talk to everybody that wanted to talk. And so I look forward to seeing him again. Of course, I look forward to seeing Doug and Stacy and meeting them. Carla Emery. If y'all don't know who Carla Emery is, I mean, Carla has become quite the personality in her own right. But her mother, I'm saying Carla Emery, that's her mother. Esther Emery is who I'm talking about. Esther Emery will be there. And Esther has become a personality in her own right. Mm-hmm. But her mother, now who's been deceased for quite a while, but her mother, Carla Emery, wrote the Encyclopedia of Country Living.
Right.
Which is like, I mean, Patty's got 2 or 3 copies. Some of them are worn, slapped to pieces. If there's one book that somebody who wants to get into homesteading needs to have, and they can only have one book, that's it. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, no questions asked. That's it. Because if there's a question you have, the answer's in that book almost completely. I was looking forward to hearing Lisa Steele from Fresh Eggs Daily, but unfortunately, some unforeseen circumstances are preventing her from being there.
Right.
So yeah, and several other speakers. I'm looking forward to watching Big Bear's demonstration on trapping, if I can. And there's only so much time. This is the only thing. There's one thing I hate about conferences, is cloning is not available. Because even when we go, Patty and I go as a team sometimes, we look at a schedule. We never go to classes together because there's so much going on. We have to divide ourselves. And you go to this one, I'll go to this one, because we go to learn. Now, we're going to have fun and we're going to hug necks and have a great time of fellowship, but we're also going to learn. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I'm sure I left somebody out that I'm, and of course, I can't wait to hug Amy's neck too, Amy and Tangi, who've just done an amazing job pulling this conference together.
Well, we're gonna be having Tangi as a guest here in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Are you?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And once Amy recuperates from the conference, we're going to have her also.
Yeah. So, yeah, you folks out there in the chat, we certainly thank each and every one of you for being here. I mean, Sherry and I started this back in May.
Yeah.
And
if it wasn't for all of you, none of this would have ever happened. We just sort of fell into this, Daryl interviewing people, and it sort of ran away with itself.
Yeah, people seem to enjoy it, and we enjoy doing it, and we enjoy meeting all the people. Yeah, and we're not just homesteaders. We brought some different types of people in here as well, and they're all interesting. Everybody has a story.
I'm kind of creeped out right now. I'm seeing that slide go by like Patty's still watching.
She is. She's got her eye on you.
Right behind you there.
Hey, baby. Smooches.
Yeah, for the ones that don't come here, the guest part, if you want to be a guest, you don't. It's not just centered around homesteading. We've had a chef in here that cooks. In fact, we're having another one coming up shortly. There's just any genre. You know, you never know who we're going to have. Grizz is going to be here next month. So everyone needs to come for that one. We're going to put this man on the hot seat.
Hide your cats.
Bandana no words or hammer. Grizz, you better watch out.
Speaking of chefs, can I plug a friend of mine right quick?
Absolutely.
Chef Nick Wallace, who's a dear friend of mine. I call him a brother from another mother. He's an African-American chef here in the Jackson area who is just a part of our family. And he's big into local food. He's actually got a tattoo of a pig on his arm. And we just love Nick Wallace. Well, he is going to be, and he's been on the Food Network before, and we don't watch the Food Network, but we'll watch it on, I think it's October the 17th. Food Network has a show called Chopped, I believe, with Chef Alton Brown. Yes. And Chef Nick Wallace is going to be on Chopped on the Food Network October the 17th. And so Nick would appreciate it, and I would appreciate it if you'd give it a watch. We love that man, and he's an amazing, down-to-earth chef, and he likes to cook with stuff that grows in the dirt. And, you know, he loves it here. He loves to come here as often as he can just to breathe the air, you know, and get out and play with the baby pigs and stuff like that. But Chopped on the Food Network, October 17th, Alton Brown Show, Chef Nick Wallace from Jackson, Mississippi.
Cool.
Very, very neat. Very neat. So, anybody else have any questions? I said we don't want to.
Did you see what Old Alabama Gardener?
Yeah, he wants to know different ways to skin a cat. Good heavens.
It's a good thing I was sitting down. I would never expect to see that out of Charles.
Well, come on. Now look, Sherry and Daryl, I don't mean to. This is not an age comment, but you're old enough to know.
That's true.
You're of the generation, either you are or your parents were like mine, that. You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
You got it.
You know, is a colloquialism, and so I'm trusting that OAG was playing on
words
that
on that one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And that's exactly what OldAlabamaGardener just said.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Tommy, you have anything special coming up for the folks in the way of new videos or new ventures or different things?
Man, I can't even think about that. No, we'll be lucky to get out of here. We're headed to the conference. We don't. Let's see. Seems like I don't know. No, we're going to keep singing and signing on Sunday nights and, still, keep up our regular Sunday schedule. And then we're just kind of, I know one of the secrets to YouTube, anybody, you ask any guru, what's the secret to success on YouTube? And they always give a dirty 4-letter word, consistency. That's a 4-letter word to me because we're anything but consistent, with the exception of the Sunday show. We've been doing our Sunday show for going on 2 years, maybe. And I think we've missed twice. I think we've missed twice. Maybe just once, and it wasn't too long ago. But as far as regular uploading, man, look, I don't care if I ever upload another video. We have caught the live bug because there ain't no editing. I mean, you just do it, and more people seem to watch the live ones even after they're posted and also. We'll be doing more. We've gotten some great advice on Patty's sourdough soft pretzels. So even though the ones she made were very tasty, they really weren't the soft pretzel taste that you would expect, and it may not ever be exact because she's doing it with sourdough. But our viewers have sent in some great suggestions about how to improve the next batch. So we'll be doing some follow-ups on that. And I don't know, we'll just see what shakes out from the conference. You never know. I imagine we'll be going live from the conference at some point.
Well, I know we're gonna try to do that. I'm gonna try to get a lot of stuff from the conference. But you did bring up something that I had totally forgot that I had wanted to ask about tonight, and that's in regards to your live shows. I know the past 3-4 weeks you've started now where you're doing a little bit of singing, and Patty is signing. Mm-hmm. So the question specifically, not so much on your singing, but on Patty's sign language, is this something she's kind of been trained in, or she's self-taught, or?
Well, she's mostly self-taught, and now she's had some training, but not formal training. She tells this story much better than I do, but she's not here, so I'll tell it. Patty has some family, some first cousins who are deaf, or one cousin in particular who's deaf. So Patty was always intrigued by the family's use of sign language, and so she tried to pick up as much as she could. And I can't tell the story as well as she, because I already know I'm missing stuff. But so she was always had an interest in it, and I don't remember how she decided to really. I think there was a sign language class taught at a local church in Louisiana it wasn't our church, but it was nearby, and she went to that. And when we moved up here to Mississippi, the first church we attended had a small number of deaf believers in the congregation, so there was a sign ministry, and Patty hooked up with a couple of the ladies who did that, and they mentored her, and next thing you know, Patty was signing for services, and now she's out of practice. In fact, she told me one of the things I've been doing with the videos, our live videos, once we started singing and signing, is after they post, I download them and edit the singing and signing out, and I'm keeping all those. And so one day I'll edit them all together and upload a video of nothing but all of those segments. Well, she wouldn't let me do this past week, because she said she thought she was ready, but she wasn't, and there were a lot of signs she wasn't happy with, and that she did not sign correctly from her standards. Because I'm like I said, Patty used to be able to sign entire church services, even songs she didn't know they were going to sing, and sermons she didn't know they were going to preach. She could do it just lickety split. So she was very good at it, gifted at it, and so she wants us to redo the song we did Sunday one day when she has a chance to study up and have a better signing presentation.
Well, my mind often goes in strange ways, and Patty has a very beautiful, what I'm going to use the term, Southern accent. So one of the things that I wonder about, does sign language have accents? Does that translate?
No, it doesn't, because accent is tonal, and involves the ear and pronunciation, and especially
it also has words though. You all and
not really, because because American Sign Language is what she knows and what she uses.
Okay.
And it's more, deaf people communicate differently than we do. They and I'm not going to get this right. Okay, so save your cards and letters. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking around the edges of this. Patty can explain it more correctly and succinctly, but deaf people communicate in ideas, and they don't. And you'll notice even in written communication, they'll skip a lot of words that you would never skip either in speech or in writing. But they boil their essence down. Boil their communication down to its essence. And you can read something that a deaf person has written in that manner, and understand it completely, but it's a little choppy, you know, but the main points come across. So I think in English Sign Language, is that, I don't know, somebody may can say, but it's the other one. American Sign Language is one, and then there's the other one where they do finger spelling and they spell every word. Well, in American Sign Language, there's very little spelling. There's some spelling, but very little spelling. You know, for example, I just happen to know the sign for Lord is the letter L that comes down across your body like a sash. So they don't spell out Lord. I don't know an R and a D. I used to. They don't spell out Lord. They do Lord. They don't spell out Jesus. They do, and it's not exactly this, you know, but there's something with a nail prints. That's the sign for Jesus. So you follow me?
Yeah.
So in American Sign Language, they will spell if there's no available sign to communicate it. But most of the language is generally recognized sign language. It's symbolic, if that's the right word to use.
Well, I know I have watched intently at some of your live streams here when she's doing that. I find it very interesting. Now, I may not have 20 years ago. I may have just could have cared less, but I find it very interesting now for whatever reason. So, anyway, you still there? Did I lose you?
No, everybody's here.
I think we lost Tommy. He froze.
It did freeze, didn't it?
It did freeze.
Maybe his quarter ran out.
I don't know. But folks,
Nope, we just lost him.
Yep, we did.
Bandana says, "Wake up, Tommy."
So, folks, I guess we're going to have to call it an evening. We don't usually end under these in this fashion, but we want to thank each and every one of you for being here this evening, and we hope to see you next Monday night. Going to have Backwoods Raised, I believe. Is that right? Backwoods Raised? Mm-hmm. And we appreciate everyone on your way out. If you hit that thumbs up, we appreciate that. Any questions for us, be sure to drop us an email. Those folks that won the trivia, please send us your emails. So, everybody have a good week. Anything else you want to add, Tom?
OldAlabamaGardener said thanks to us for the good show. Charles is if you see the present up in the corner, we had a box there a while back. He is our Christmas gift. He will be our guest on 12/25. So, should be an interesting evening. Maybe he'll dance for us again.
Okay.
Do appreciate everybody stopping, and you all have a wonderful weekend. We will be signing in at different times, probably from the conference. We are going there early so we can help set up on Friday. Then we will be there bright and early on Saturday morning to help get things set up. And we'll make sure we take pictures and get videos.
Everyone have a wonderful week. Take care.
Thanks for stopping.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.